Hi guys, this is a redirect to my reaction to The Legend of Korra Season 4, Episodes 7, 8 and 9. Pretty good episodes again. I really liked Episodes 7 and 9. Episode 8 kind of annoyed me that it was just mainly just a trip down memory lane with the characters reminiscing their past just to tell these new characters, and I was just like, okay, this is kind of a waste of an episode. I was hoping that I would see more of like what Kuvira and Batar Jr. were doing with the spirit vines. We didn't get that much of that in these episodes of like actually Kuvira and Batar, I mean, but anyway, so what happened in the first episode was that there was the reunion between Korra, Mako and Asami, and that was great to see. Like after 3 years they're finally reunited. A lot of catching up to do. And Korra is just feeling very down at the moment, and it's understandable considering that she's been trying so hard to bring peace and balance into the world, and she's done that with when dealing with Aemon, Unalak, Zaheer, but then now another threat comes in, Kuvira. But I was getting a tiny bit annoyed that she was only focusing on all the negative that happened rather than her accomplishments. So she has like brought peace, at least even if it was just for a while. Until a new threat arrived. But the thing is, right, like just because a new threat arrives doesn't mean that your work to bring peace is not worth it. It is worth it, because these new threats that come in, if it wasn't for like people bringing peace, if it wasn't for the police force doing their job, then a lot more people would be in danger, you know, a lot more people would be killed if it wasn't for the peacemakers, and the police force, the justice system, you know. So yeah, like when she was like talking to Asami about that, like Asami was like telling her like she accomplished a lot actually. And yeah, I was like in agreement with Asami, like yeah, sure, Korra like has fucked up when like she tried to fight Kuvira, but like I knew it was not gonna go down well. It was not even the finale fight. And she still has a lot of learning to do, like controlling, like she wasn't able to properly gain contact with the spirit world. And then the most surprising thing happened. So Korra was literally, she was so desperate. She had no other option apart from contacting Zaheer just so that she can um just so that she can find the captured souls, and in the spirit world, because the only way to find the captured souls is to gain contact in spirit, to go into the spirit world, and she couldn't quite do that, because she blamed Zaheer in blocking her from entering the spirit world. So that's why she wanted to go to Zaheer. And the surprising thing is that Zaheer wasn't like trying to kill or anything. He actually wanted to stop Kuvira as well. And what I find really interesting, and I've already like figured this out, but I'm just gonna like say it now, is how different Kuvira and Zaheer are. Zaheer was all about freedom and not about dictatorship, but then Kuvira is all about controlling people through totalitarianism, having a fascist regime, you know, creating boundaries. But then Zaheer was all about, you know, going against the royal family, going against any sort of like power, authority. So it's interesting how 180-degree like season 4 is compared to season 3. I still say Zaheer is the more interesting villain compared to Kuvira. That's not to say that Kuvira's a bad villain. I think she's pretty cool, but like I think Zaheer is the most interesting just because of his ideology. It's less typical, because a lot of villains in general love having power and control. So we see that a lot in like TV shows, animes, and films. So to have someone like Zaheer was a bit more different. It's not totally original, but it is less typical compared to having someone who was like totally about having authority and power. But anyway, so in the first episode, yeah, we saw the reunion and like, oh my days, Prince Wu was just getting on my nerves. That guy is just annoying. But who is even more annoying is Varrick. Varrick, he just keeps thinking about himself, and he's just like, oh my days, like, I mean, he's funny, but at the same time, he's annoying as well. And Wu is just so useless. Like, it was like just telling Mako to do whatever he needed to do, and Wu got kidnapped in the toilet, and then Mako, Korra, and Asami, they had to find him, and they did manage to find him. Meanwhile, Bolin is being a boss, so he ended up, because obviously Bolin and Varrick, they escaped from Kuvira, and then they are now considered traitors to Kuvira's army. So they're basically on the hideout, but then they found this re-education camp, and so he had to team up with them and make them realize that they're actually not on Kuvira's side anymore. And then they all thankfully work together, and then yeah, against like Kuvira's because they were like trying to enter this was it, did they call it the clockpoint, in a way to get out of the area that they were in, but they faced some of Kuvira's army soldiers, and Bolin came out with all this lava bending, and it looked so cool. It was really cool seeing him like really like use lava bending well, so he's really got the hang of it for these past 3 years, really working on his lava bending. It was just really cool that he was able to take down the army soldiers and set them all free. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then in the 8th episode, like it was, they were just like Mako, basically Prince Wu asked Mako about his relationship with Korra and his relationship with Asami, and it got me really angry again, because you guys know I did not like how that whole love triangle situation was handled. It was way too messy, and it was just so irritating seeing this guy so indecisive about these two women, and like he's just playing them both basically just because he didn't want to hurt them. And that's just dumb logic. Like, you gotta like pick a side, pick a go, you know, like you can't play them both. And I just felt really bad for Asami. I felt bad for Korra as well. What I do like about Mako is that he is dedicated to like tracking down criminals, but when it comes to romance, he just totally fucked up. And I know he apologized, but like it just hurts. But I don't want to like get into my own personal life. But anyway, so another thing is that I've noticed is that in the 7th episode they were trying to hint at the relationship between Asami and Korra, as developing more romantically, and it actually annoyed me. So you know, we are getting very close to the end of this series, and now you're deciding to develop the relationship between Asami and Korra. It feels way too rushed, way too forced, not natural at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm totally fine with same-sex couples, okay? I have no problem with that. All I'm saying is that you got to give them the same treatment as heterosexual couples. So you know how romantic relationships, they have to develop over time and it has to be gradual. It's the same thing with same-sex couples. We can't like just like leave it out. I know that this is a kids show and that's probably why they didn't want to like give too many hints, but if that's the case, then why the hell would you include a same-sex couple in the first place? Like, just because you want to like adhere to like the LGBTQ community, then if you want to do that, then you do need to develop the romance just a bit more. That way it doesn't feel so forced. So like Korra, like Mako was like complaining about how Korra was only sending letters to Asami, and I was just like, oh my god, seriously? That's the way that they're gonna hint at this? Because I do know that Korra implicitly ends up with Asami right at the end of the series. That's the spoiler that I told you guys about before. And I was just like, this doesn't work because she had way more history with Mako. Korra had like way more of a history with Mako, and I know that they had a lot of arguments and that they broke up, but still, like, that could have been rekindled, and Mako could have been like a much better boyfriend for her. So they look, in my opinion, don't attack me, it's just my opinion, they have a lot more chemistry just in general because they just have a lot more history. They had a lot more moments as well. So a lot more romantic moments. Like, just because two girls are talking to each other doesn't mean that they're in love with each other. I feel like you guys, like, some people, like, they just like, they try to like push these same-sex couples and they're only friends. You're not romantically together. And I'm just like, yeah, but we see Asami and Korra talking, okay, but that doesn't mean that that should develop into a romance. I know, I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but like, if you want to develop it into a romance, then it needs to be a bit more substantial. I'm not saying a kiss, but like maybe like a holding hands thing, hugging, I don't know, staring. But like, I mean, because it's a kids show, so yeah, like, this is just way too late to develop the romance between Asami and Korra. Um, but anyway, whatever. I'm still gonna ship Korra and Mako. I don't care what anyone says. That was way more developed, in my opinion. And to be honest, like, she could have just ended up alone. Like, she doesn't need to have, she doesn't need to be in a ship necessarily anyway. Like, are we against independent women or something? I'm just saying, like, she could have just ended up alone. I mean, just like at the end of the series. I mean, I don't mean like in terms of like her whole life or something. So I would have been totally fine with that if she just like not been with anyone romantically at the very end. Um, but like, yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna go into the ninth episode. So as I say, Korra was just like really desperate for some help because Kuvira and Batara Jr., they are basically making this super weapon by cutting down spirit vines in that huge ass tree in the swamp. So Korra was able to find that out by using that technique that Toph taught her, and I thought that was a really cool technique. The technique where she can just touch any earth surface and be able to sense people around her. So that's a really cool ability that she has. It can be very helpful for her. And it did. She found out that Kuvira and Batara Jr. are basically like cutting down spirit vines just to make this super weapon. And like, is she not satisfied already? Like, she's made Opal's life an absolute misery by basically capturing her own mum, taking over Zaofu, and just taking over so many other cities. Like, geez, man, this woman needs to be fucking stopped. And her fiance pisses me off even more. The fact that he is the absolute scumbag to do this to his own family and be totally okay with his own mum being captured by his fiance. Like, this guy, can you just kill him off or whatever? There's just no sense of redemption after that. I don't see this guy being redeemed. Like, how dare you do that to your own family? It's absolutely disgusting what he did. In regards to Bolin and Opal, I really hope that they do rekindle their relationship. I do feel that there's a chance now. Obviously, I'm mad at Bolin for basically being on Kuvira's side and being a total idiot in not figuring out that she was pretty much a dictator, and obviously captured Opal's mom, and her brothers as well. So obviously Opal is going to be very, very mad at Bolin for that. And she was. But she said at the end that she's gonna go with Lin to basically rescue her mom, because the whole council with Tenzin, they didn't want to do that because they want to be on the defensive rather than the offensive. So that's why Opal is going on a secret mission with Lin to save Suyin. And Bolin's gonna help them. So yeah, Bolin better do a good job, otherwise you're not winning back Opal. So at least there's a chance, you know, a chance to redeem himself and win back Opal, because they do actually look like a really good couple, and I really like the chemistry between them two. Most of the romantic couples are just like messed up in this series, and that's what really bothers me. That Korra and Mako weren't sustained. Um, but at least there's Jinora and Kai and Bolin and Opal, hopefully redeemed, hopefully rekindled. Yeah, anyway, what you think of these episodes? Let me know and stay tuned for more.